It's Thursday, August 27th at the time of this recording. The S&P finished up 0.72%, the Nasdaq 100 finished up 1.57%, and the Dow Jones finished up flat at 0.20%. Let's get into what happened today. So it's pretty clear what happened. One of the biggest things I like to show people here, and we'll just show you here via some of our trades here. One of the first things you want to do as a trader, and it's the number one mistake that traders make, is you want to mark your opening level here. Okay, so the problem, right, a lot of people will try to go long when the market's dropping here. So if you just mark your opening level here, the market opened up here at 8:30 here, Central Standard Time here, and we opened up at 7:18 here. We collapsed, we created an inverse head and shoulders, we broke down, we undercut, we retested, we broke up, we created a bull flag, and then it was off to the races, or so you thought here. So from the bottom tick to the top tick here, right, a lot of traders got wrecked. And I think the problem that traders have is sometimes, right, including myself, we want all these $1,000 plays, $15,000 plays, and usually those come on trend days. Right now, we're not in a trend market, we're still in a choppy market. And a choppy market's defined by, right, are we just staying stagnant here, right? So from Thursday here in the morning at 3 o'clock, where do we end up here, at the end of the day? Basically the same place we started over 8 hours ago, especially from market open here. So some of the trades that we took here today, right, they only lasted, a few minutes. And you have to take what the market gives, not what you think. How that relates back over here to the QQQs here, right, looking at the chart here, right, it looks really bullish here under the hood, but that's why a lot of traders struggle with day trading. Sometimes you just have mere seconds, sometimes mere minutes. You see your position is up, $500, the next minute it's down $1,000. You have to take what the market gives. From a technical perspective here on the Nasdaq, we do have our 55 EMA institutional support here, and again, I like the 55 EMA because it shows us what net selling looks like, right? This is net selling and what net buying looks like. Again, do we finally have net buying, or are we going to see a reversal here with the Jackson Hole speech tomorrow? The levels that I want to watch tomorrow here that we definitely want to hold are where we closed at. So again, anything under 721, if you remember my last YouTube video here, I will consider going long if we can only break 721 up here and create structure, along with obviously that macro event here with Jackson Hole. Levels to the downside here are pretty clear, 713, 708, and then we already know our put wall was right here at 700. Coming over here to a shorter time frame here, just showing you what a velocity type move looks like. So when I'm looking for strong breakouts, I try to measure the move from where we dropped, visually here, depending on the sequence and events, macro, technical, and fundamental. How long did it take us to go down versus how long did it take us to go up here? So right here, to me, it feels like we're struggling here. Obviously, from the bottom tick right here to all the way up here, it says it's been basically 2 days here. But right, I'm looking for a strong breakout. With NVDA earnings, I would expect the market, right, to be ripping. Only NVIDIA ripped, and still that contract's didn't even pay, which is a different conversation for a later time. Going over here to the S&P 500, we'll talk about that here at the end of the video here. My levels for tomorrow, the call wall for SPX is right here at 7741 roughly, 7742. Our point of control here that we have to hold, which coincides with the previous day close, is 7691 here, and then we have our course flush zone right here at 7639 here. Looking for these levels, maybe we get a big move tomorrow, maybe we just get a bunch of chop. Typically on Fridays, you either have a move at the beginning of the day, no different from like an OPEX ironically, or you get them towards the end of the day where you see where market makers are hedging the last hour of the day. Are they buying or are they selling towards the end of the day? Sometimes those are your biggest clues heading to the weekend. Looking here again visually here from the SPY, a different chart here from the SPX chart. Again, call wall, or excuse me, rather point of control right here, the level that we have to hold in order to go up here is 769.77. Your next level is above that, or of course we have to break above 772.34, and then our next levels to the upside here is 775.76 here, and then your put wall here, flush zone is 767.23, and then your levels to the downside are right here at 763.99, and then obviously your flush zones right here at the bottom of that wick at 762.08. Coming over here again, just a different view here, and I tell traders you need to look at different views. One view won't tell you the entire story here. Again, there's a lot of other things going in this picture here, but what I see here visually, right, if you can't get above this level here, 769.69 here, and then currently in aftermarkets, this is exactly where you're at, right? What possibly can we be forming here? You have to be creative with how you see chart patterns. So what I see possibly here is this, right? Bearish falling three methods, off of an original evening star here, which can be corroborated by the weekly time frame here. Going to go ahead and clean my chart off here real quickly. If it loads, crap, I just remember my internet's out, so never mind. I guess I'm not going to do that. And is this chart frozen here too? This chart's frozen here too. And so I'll just talk about this chart anyways. So right here, right, we marked our opening a level right here at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And again, you know, you had a tough time rallying, but then you finally broke through here. So we saw a strong buying opportunity towards the end of the day here, which is why we took calls here, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the video, and I'll show you some different live recordings here of how I trade and how I'm transparent when I'm trading here with my Discord. But again, the easiest thing you can do as a trader is just mark your opening level here, right? Marking opening level gives you the opportunity to see visually here, right? Are market makers, because retail isn't moving the market, guys, it's market makers. Are market makers getting involved? Or are they telling you they want to buy or sell here, right? So at the beginning of the day, right, trap you out, wake you out, get you all stopped out, lose all your money on your positions here, only to rally you back up here. So, right, you can see this level right here is a magnet, 768 here, 0.76. So go ahead and mark that, you know, for your levels for tomorrow. Going back over here to the SPY here, again, your point of controls right here at 7692 on SPX here, and then going back here to SPY, your level here is 769.76. So again, very close levels, very tight levels over here, ones that you definitely want to have marked, okay? Going over here to the NVDA, again, you know, why are we dropping here in the Nasdaq? There's a few reasons, right? You know, right now before getting to Jackson Hole, I believe that market makers on Wall Street, right, they're risk off. We actually don't know what, you know, Warsh is going to say there, right? Is he going to indicate, you know, even though he says he's not, you know, we're going to have rate hikes or we're going to have rate cuts here. So, right, if you're, you know, a hedge fund or if you're Wall Street, do you want to hold into a big meeting tomorrow where stocks might plummet, you know, 5 to 10%? Right? And again, you know, do we normally have big moves here on those days? Yes and no here. I'll go ahead and provide a free written report here in my Substack showing the implied moves here, you know, shortly after the video. But again, right, Magic 8 Ball, but not your only one they should be using, right? They tend to show the tops and bottoms here on the NDFI. What is the NDFI? It's the indice that shows, excuse me, it's the index that shows, or the ticker at least, whatever you want to call it, the amount of stocks that are above their 50 daily moving average here, right? So, right, if you just broke a 50 daily moving average, right, looks pretty bearish to me. So again, this screams to me, right, risk off. We can wait to get involved. If you don't wait, right, no different from the examples I was showing you here, right, on the QQQs and other charts here, you're gonna have a tough time trading this market, right? Because you might not wait, then you come all the way back down here, you may be full port, you know, and nothing that I see here on this channel is financial advice, but you might make bad mistakes here when you can just wait, you know, towards, you know, a good setup here and then get involved. Hey, we're not gonna have rate hikes, we're gonna have rate cuts, right? Then you missed the entire move here because you weren't patient. Patience will pay you all day long in trading. The most skilled traders can lose everything by not being patient, guys. And that's what I try to teach and show you guys every single day here in the market. Going over here to CRM, again, why it's important to mark your levels here. All I talk about is levels, discipline, patience, and so forth. You know, so one of the things I like to talk about, right, is why it's important to mark your levels before market open, right? This is the same chart as SPY, the same chart as the QQQ, almost the same chart, right, as all these other tickers that I show you here. So a lot of people thought they missed a move on CRM here, right? I always tell people after earnings call, go ahead and mark your high, go ahead and mark your low. Sometimes you just sell off here for no reason, even though you had a great earnings beat after a gap up overnight, right? So, right, if you just mark your top level here, pre-market, right, pre-market levels as well as the opening. I believe in particular this was the opening. Where do we open up at? We opened up at 8:30 here. Let me go ahead and just change this here to Chicago. Okay, so we opened up right here. So, right, you could say double top right here. Then we finally broke out, right? And where'd you break out from? 235, and where'd you end up at? 251. So you had a 7.66% or $18 move here, right, after market open. That's a lot of money, guys. That's why it's important to have your levels marked. And another tool that you can do here in TradingView is just go ahead and set alerts, okay, for when you're going to break or reject a level here. That way sometimes you don't say, oh crap, I knew it was going to happen, but then you forgot. Okay, go over here to NVIDIA. You know what we observed yesterday was we were pinned here on the 55 daily EMA, right? What does net selling look like? Right here, you had inverse head and shoulders. Here's your left, here's your head, here's your right. And of course we could have came all the way back down here and gotten kiboshed and obviously broken down through lower levels here. So sometimes, right, patterns are relative, but then like you have to combine that with the macro. What was the macro? We had earnings, the technical, right, the chart that we're talking about here, the fundamental, right, what is NVIDIA, what are their earnings and so forth, what do they actually do, okay? Go over here to NVIDIA, kind of same chart here. So you opened up here at 8:30 and you got kiboshed. Where is it? 8:30, 8:30 is right here, right? So right here, you opened up here and then you got kiboshed, right? But again, you rallied up. Wall Street was showing you what? That they wanted to get involved in the stock here. You had obviously net buying here and then the races were off. And from this move here, would have taken about 3 hours and 48 minutes here. You see that full 4.3 price target extension move here. And again, patience pays. The best trading tip I tell traders is if you know the charts, right, if you're actually studying, you know what you're looking at here. The hardest part for traders is they watch, then they get involved here, then they get kiboshed. But if you're able to read the charts here, the easiest thing you can do here, and I'm not saying on a 0 day, and obviously nothing that I'm saying is financial advice, it's only my opinion here, I really enjoy teaching, okay, is what? Buying the position and then working with it. Because I can work with any chart, any ticker, any time, and I show everybody that every day with full transparency here with people following me here in my Discord. I have a current discount code coming, $150 off, locked in here till December of the end of the year if you subscribe here and sign up for my signals here before the end of the video, end of the night, excuse me. Going over here to NVIDIA, we talked about that. And then one of the things that, again, we need to pay attention to are how is this, right? How are the bonds going to react tomorrow? Excuse me, the yields. Just lost my breath, right? So this is a chart you also want to set an alert for, right? Are we going to tick up or tick down, right? People getting involved means what? They'd rather invest in this, right, than do what? Into the individual stock market. So, right, you saw this ticking up here today towards the end of the close. Why do you think that is? Jackson Hole tomorrow, that's our macro event. Coming back over here to crude oil, the 3 levels that I care about and why. We have our control bar here. I lied, 4 levels. We have our control bar here, so really nothing notable until you break this 119 level here. Then we have our call wall right up here, which is a resistance at 93.51. Then we're right on our 50% line from the top to the bottom here, which also coincides with what? The point of control here at 83.60. And then we have our flush zone here to collapse at 74.03 here. We need like a really bullish event of some sort, like a peace deal, to kind of see oil collapse. And, you know, again, sometimes I tell people the candles are setting up clues here, right? It's not, and, you know, the higher the time frame you're on, the better kind of, you know, setup and visualization that you see in a chart. So right here, what do I see here from a visual perspective and chart pattern perspective, right? So the macro, right? We don't have a peace deal. Tankers are literally getting shot down as we speak almost every single day. Fundamental, we need oil, pretty clear. Technical, you know, again, we have a possible cup and handle. We did break out, then we got kibosh right here, and now you're back on your point of control. What is this chart pattern here that you see? Possible falling 3 bearish reversal right here. If you have any questions, concerns, any feedback, make sure to like, share, subscribe. This is Hollow Point Trading. These are your levels for tomorrow. Stay tuned for the live trades here that I gave up to my Discord today. Have a blessed day. Peace out.